Unit 5, Project Economics, slide number 41. We are going to talk today about equilibrium. Okay. Yesterday we talked about supply and demand and annuity. Okay. Today we are going to talk about equilibrium. So the equilibrium in economics, an equilibrium is a situation in which there is no inherent tendency to change. Quantity demanded equals quantity supplied, and the market just clears. Okay, so same thing which we learned in engineering economics, also engineering mechanics, or strength of materials. So equilibrium is basically we balance all the forces. Okay, so in engineering economics or project economics, the equilibrium is something like we call it when your supply is balanced with your demand. Okay, so supply equals to demand. So that's called equilibrium. Okay, and if we go on slide 42, it's market equilibrium. The operation of the market depends on the interaction between buyers and sellers. And equilibrium is the condition that exists when quantity supplied and quantity demanded are equal. At equilibrium, there is no tendency for the market price to change. Yeah, definitely, because whatever we needed, whatever our demand is met by the supply. So there's not going to be any change in price. The next is slide is equation and example. Okay, so to determine the equilibrium price, you have to figure out at what price the demand and supply curves intersect. This is easiest to see visually on graph below. So we are going to see the graph in the subsequent slide. The supply and demand curves intersect at P and Q, which are the equilibrium price and quantity. So P for price and Q for quantity. So we already learned about supply curve and the demand curve. So on slide number 44, you will see we have a purple curve, which is S, okay, which is supply curve, and blue, which is D, so that's demand curve, and they intersect at each other, okay. So at some particular point. So at that point, we will find the price on the y-axis and the quantity on x-axis. Okay, so that's P and Q. So that is what we call it as equilibrium condition, where our supply curve and our demand curve intersect each other. Okay, so there is an example on the left side. It's table 3. Okay, video market equilibrium. So there are prices in dollar. Okay, and then there are quantity demand and quantity supplied. Okay, so that's how they have. For $3, the quantity demanded is 30 and quantity supplied is 30. So that's where we can say we can achieve an equilibrium. If you go to the next slide, it says factors affecting price decisions. Okay, so there are some internal factors and then there some are external factors. So in the internal factors, you will see marketing objectives and then marketing mix strategy, product cost, and organization consideration. So internal factors means okay, so where we have marketing objective or marketing mix strategy. So you are selling a soap, okay. If you are manufacturing a soap and you are trying to sell that soap, and in your internal marketing strategy says you are going to hire a superstar, okay, maybe a actress or actor, or maybe a celebrity from cricket or any other sports. So definitely that's going to affect your price, or that's you're going to affect your manufacturing cost. Or maybe something like you are going to use this rare substance, maybe, okay, so like sona chandi prash, okay, you are going to use actual gold and actual silver, so it might cost you more compared to the other competitor, which is like I don't know, Dabur Prash, okay. So because they don't use silver and gold in there, so those are like rare metals. or maybe organizational consideration. So organizational consideration means you can say something like instead of you are selling on Amazon, you are going to sell it through wholesaler and then retailer. So you have to consider the cost or commission for the wholesaler and then commission for the retailer. But if you are selling on like online platform like Amazon or Flipkart or Snapdeal, so you might save that cost. You need to only pay for that website, the commission for the website. So you are basically breaking the chain. So that might going to affect your cost. Then there are some external factors. In there we can say nature of market and demand, competition, environmental factors like economy, resellers, and government. Okay. So now in our in internal factors we thought about organizational consideration. Okay, where I told you about wholesaler and retailers. Okay, and also in external factors we have again resellers. Okay, resellers means um, we have distributor and then we have retailer. Okay, so the both are, we call them as reseller. Okay, because we are the manufacturer, we are the seller. Okay, same like in our construction industry, we have there is someone who owns the land. Okay, then there is someone who develops that land, and someone who actually do the construction, that's called builder. And then there are other subcontractors. Okay, the labor contractor or maybe other contractors. Okay, and then there's going to be marketing team who's going to market, do the marketing or advertisement of your project. And they're going to be a real estate agent who's basically take get some customers to buy your houses or your flats. So those are like, we can say resellers like real estate agents or marketing agencies. So those are like external factors. And the competition is also again, so I'm developing a project. So if you go to the Nakshatra Garden, okay, Nakshatra Garden, there are like some new construction projects going on by Mukti, and there are so many other small contractors or small builders. So if you see, the Mukti has fixed price, okay, because it's a big name and it's a reputed name, okay. So they have their fixed price. So they are going to sell their flats maybe I don't know, like 2,000 rupees or 2,500 rupees per square feet, okay. Because of that, their reputation and their big name and their maybe quality of work, the other developers, other small builders who are developing their projects in surrounding areas, they need to change their strategy or they need to change their price pattern. Okay, so because if Mukti is offering like 2,500 rupees per square feet, then they might the small contractors, small developers, they're going to offer like 2,450, like less than 50 rupees less than the what Mukti is offering, because they have to they want to survive the competition. The nature of the market and demand. Okay, so same thing like in like 10 years before, there was no one want to go to Dorochi or Rui. Okay, in that case, but now the market has changed. Okay, now the people are, they're trying to go outside or go on the outskirts of Baramati. So the market has more demand in Dorochi and Rui. So that's what we call the nature of market and demand. Okay. So moving on to the next slide, slide number 46, you will see factors affecting price determination. So before making policy, the strategy and techniques of determining price of goods or services, a marketer should consider both internal and external environmental factors of the firm that affect the pricing. Okay? All the elements of marketing mix have close relationship between environmental factors. Among them, pricing is perhaps very sensitive as well as explosive power. Business firm itself, consumers or customers, channel members, competitors, government and economy are the major factors that play a significant role at different stages in the process of pricing. These factors can be discussed as follows. So we are going to discuss all those factors. So now, how we decide, or how that Mukti Constitution decided to sell their flat for 2,500 rupees per square feet. Okay, so they must have thought about something about market pricing or market demand. Okay, so yeah, definitely they have considered the material cost, the labor cost and the cost of the land, okay, and their profit margin. Okay, so profit margin maybe 10%, but still, okay, they have to come up with the price. Like if you have seen the earlier projects of the Mukti in same the Nakshatra Garden area. Okay, in that same area, if you see the earlier projects of Mukti construction or Mukti projects, so they had like big row houses, like 2,500 square feet row houses. Okay, or the flats for like even two bedroom flat, like 2 BHK flats, but with 1,000 square foot or 1,200 square foot. But now, after some marketing analysis and they see some demand in the market that the people don't have the capacity or they don't have a money power to buy these big projects or these big houses. So they now change their strategy. Now their new projects, which started like this year or the last year, they changed the sizes of flats. So now they have flats which are like 500 square feet or maybe 600 square feet. Now they have row houses which are like 1,200 square feet or 1,500 square feet. Instead of having 2,500 square feet row house, now they have 1,500 square feet row house. Okay, instead of having 1,200 square feet flat, now they have like 700 or 750 square feet flat. So they change the strategy because they now know how much price or how much money the customer can afford. Okay, so we are going to consider all those factors in subsequent slides. So if you go to slide number 47, okay, it says internal or controllable pricing factors. Okay, under the internal organization factors include the objective of the business firm, production and distribution, cost, marketing mix, nature of products, firm's expectation, reputation, etc. They are called internal pricing determinants and can be controlled by marketeer. Okay, so the interesting, I think the other points here, they are self-explanatory. But firm's expectation and reputation, that is something which is you have to understand. If you go to Reliance Smart, okay, so if you go to Reliance Smart, so they have a Harpic, okay, which is toilet cleaner, okay. So they have a Harpic, they have Lysol, they have I don't know, some other companies, okay, and they also have their own Easy, okay, which is their own brand or which is their own product, Reliance own product. And if you compare both of them, they have the same quantity, some like 1 liter of Harpic and 1 liter of that Easy. Okay. Then they will have same smell. Okay. So they have like same fragrance. They also have like same content. So maybe if they are using hydrochloric acid, they Easy also using hydrochloric acid. So exactly same. Okay. Even similar packaging. Okay, but there is a huge price difference. So maybe Harpic you have to pay like 100 rupees. Okay, so you are paying 90 rupees for Easy. Why? And even though you are paying less money for Easy, the Reliance is making so much money out of it. Why? Because Harpic has a brand name. Okay, they have reputation. Okay, and people are expecting much more from Harpic. So let's see, if you're using Harpic and it's not effective, so people going to go bad mouth about Harpic, or they might lodge a complaint against FI, um, against Harpic. So in that case, Harpic has to pay some lump sum amount or some compensation for the customer, because they are in the all the advertisement, all their marketing, they always say, okay, we kill 99.99% bacteria, and our product is better than most of other competitors, something like that. Okay, so they have big claims. So people or customer have expectation from them. Okay, and they have also their own reputation to take care of it. So that's why they pay, they ask you little bit more money compared to the other product, which is which is, we can say, locally manufactured or which don't have that reputation or which don't have that high brand value. Okay, so if you go on next slide, slide number 48. Okay, A, organization's objectives. The objective of a marketing organization greatly influence pricing. A manufacturing company at the introductory stage of its new product determines how low price to bring them to markets, but some other firms may determine high high introductory price of their products to recover their investment or to get expected return from this investment. Whatever the objective of the company may be, it affects price determination. Okay, and B is cost of manufacturing and marketing. The manufacturing and distribution costs generally greatly as well as directly affects pricing. If the cost for production and distribution is high, it becomes impossible to determine low. So first we say organization's objective, okay, where we talked about something, the higher price, the higher introductory price for investment, okay, and then it's going to go like reducing. So you will see most of the products are like that. Most of the new products, they have a little bit higher price, okay, unless and until we have another competitor in the market. Till then, we have like higher price for the new product. When there is an introduction of new competitor with the similar product, then the older product or the earlier product, they reduce their price to just to be more competitive in the business. um, okay, so for this I might going to say uh, what I can say, like room fresheners. You'll see room fresheners. So like when they introduced, so there were like couple of companies like Godrej and Air, I think. So those are like couple of only companies who are in the market for room freshness. But nowadays there are maybe tens or 20 companies who have product for room freshener. So now you will see the prices have changed. So I remember like 5, 6 years back, or maybe 10 years back, when they were first introduced this kind of product. So we have to pay about like 1,500 rupees to just buy the, buy that machine, and then we have to pay another 600, 700 rupees to get that fragrance bottle, like the spray. But right now, you just pay like 700 rupees and you get like both that machine and also that spray or that liquid. Okay. So because nowadays, like we have more competition in that market. So that's basically organization's objective or organization's strategy to get returns on their investment. The cost of manufacturing and marketing, again, we actually combine the cost of manufacturing and also the marketing. And when we say marketing, it's just not about the advertisement. Advertisement is a part of marketing. It's not entire marketing. Marketing has so many different things included. Okay, so advertisement is one of that thing in the marketing. So in marketing, you also think about distribution. Okay, then redistribution. Then we also talk about like not only advertisement but also maybe incentives, maybe what is called some prizes or something like that. So all those are like marketing strategies. Okay, if you go to next slide, slide number 49. So it's C, other marketing mix components. The other components of marketing mix, that is product, place, and promotion prepared by business organization, all affect pricing. The nature of products does not only make it possible, but also make it is essential to determine price of the product. Similarly, reputation or goodwill of organization also affect price and determination. Likewise, promotion costs also affect pricing decision. So here we talked about the other marketing components. So you can also talk about like product and place and promotion. So advertisement and promotion, they are both are different. Okay, Advertisement is something we have print media advertisement. We have I don't know other media advertisement like TV or radio or something like that. But in promotions, basically our brand ambassador goes there, okay, and he talks directly to the customer, okay. So it's like two-way communication. In advertisement, it's like just only one-way communication, okay. You are just trying to inform about your product to other people, okay. But in promotion, basically you also receive feedback from your customer. Okay, so if you go to next slide, slide number 50, it is point two, external or independent pricing factors. Okay, so the external factors include customers, channel members, competitors, government, economic condition of country, etc. These are independent factors cannot be controlled by marketer. Okay, so now I can tell you two things about it. Okay, uh, one is why the product from China are cheaper than the product manufactured in India. Okay, so this is one thing you should think about. Another thing you can say why, okay, again, why the rice from Punjab is more costly than rice from Tamil Nadu. Okay, so we are still in the same country, but with two different states, the price of rice is different. Okay, if you think about two different countries, India and China, the products, the price of products, they are different. So the government and economic conditions they change drastically with the with the pricing factor basically. So it's about taxes or basic infrastructure or maybe labor cost, maybe what is called the productivity. So there are lots of factors we can think about when it comes to the independent or external pricing factors. So A, we are going to talk about consumers and market. Okay, so consumers and target markets also affect pricing of products. These those who determine price should pay careful attention to the elements of buying behavior and methods. More attention should be given to the characteristics of target market, condition of the products, consumer perception, thought, and attitude towards the price and quality of the products, etc. So when we talk about consumers and market, you have to think about because you are a consumer at some point, but when you are a manager, you are on the other side. Okay, you are selling. So it's always better to think like customer or think like consumer. Okay, how he is going to think, how he is going to spend his money, and can you make your product more reasonable for him to buy? Okay, so the interesting story here, you have to remember, okay, you have to think about it. In Chroma, okay, or if you go to more, or if you go to what is called Reliance Smart, you will see they have sale, okay, or they have different promotions or different what is called it like price drop, okay, only during month end or a month end like or month beginning of the month. They never ever have all this sell or anything during in the middle of month because they know the month end or the earlier month like you can say 25 of the last month to 10th of next month, so those like 15 days period, during that period only people get their salary, so they have money to spend. So that's why during that time only they have some sale going on or they have drop price, but rest of the month they don't because they know that people don't have money to spend, so that they are not expecting people to buy things or buy spend their money. Okay, it's not about like what we say uh, the supply and demand. It's something like we can call it like marketing behavior, or sorry, not marketing, but like consumer behavior. It's something we call it like consumer behavior or human behavior. Okay. Next slide, slide number 51. There is a channel members. So pricing is also affected by members of distribution channel. The necessity and objectives of channel members matching with pricing policy of the marketer can make distribution possible. The discount given to wholesale or retailer is the important component in profit to middleman, so the price determiner should get knowledge of the distributor alternative towards the price and what price will they sell the product to consumer. Without return agreement, manufacturer cannot provide authority or direct the middleman to fix final price, but can give suggestions. Now, if I take a poll right now, okay, if I ask all of you, is everyone listening to me? Okay, so if I ask you, like, do you have a bank account? Okay, do you have a bank account? Do you have a saving account in a bank? So most of you will say, okay, sir, we have a bank account in maybe a Bank of Maharashtra or a State Bank of India. Okay, rather than HSBC or Standard Chartered or Citibank, which are basically the world's one of the most powerful or most largest banks in the world. But why you have your bank accounts in State Bank of India or Bank of Maharashtra? Because of their distribution or their branches. In Maharashtra, they have branches all over. Bank of Maharashtra has branches all over cities and all over the villages, tehsils everywhere. Okay, State Bank of India has branches all over the India. Okay, all the cities and tehsils, and even at village level. But unlike other banks, which is just I told you, like HSBC or Standard Chartered or Citibank, okay, which are like biggest banks, but they don't have. They have only branches in major cities. Okay, even though like they are like 3 or 4 times bigger than State Bank of India, but still they have they are not approachable. Okay, so that is what we call it like channel. Okay, distribution channel, because they have like big network. Okay, same thing with the steel. Okay, so do you remember yesterday I told you about the steel, the quality of steel? So I told you the Tata Steel and Jindal Steel, those are like my favorite steel, and because they are the only steel they make steel from iron ore. Okay, and other are like they make their steel from uh, scrap. And you will be surprised in Baramati, which is the favorite or which is the most sold steel. Anyone can guess in Baramati, in like Baramati area, not exactly Baramati city, but Baramati and surrounding area, like maybe Indapur and Daund and other area, Morgaon, something like that. So in nearby areas or Fulton, what is the most sold steel? Anyone know for the construction industry? Okay, do you know any brand of steel which is used in construction? No, anyone, not any. Good. Okay, so Kalika, okay, that is the most sold brand, and I hate that brand because it's not good still. But they have a very vast network in Baram and nearby area, so that's why that's the one is more preferred by people because people say it's for the consumer or for the customer, it is more approachable. Okay, like in if you go to Marathwada or Nanded area, Nanded Latur area, there are Kamdhenu still. That is the most approachable because they have vast network in Nanded and Latur area. Okay, so you will see Kamdhenu still there. Okay, so something like that. Okay, so where we go in that locality, the distribution channel is plays most role. I'm on slide number 53 now. Go to slide 53. D, government. Okay. The government policy and decisions also affect pricing. The government of each country have their own policy, decisions, rules, and regulations. Price should be determined considering price control policy of government, sales tax, income tax policy, etc. Prices of some products are controlled by government directions, and the government itself determines price of some products. Okay, so you might be surprised that if you want to buy a Ferrari, okay, Ferrari which is Ferrari not which is not assembled or which is not manufactured in India, so you have to import it from abroad, maybe from Italy where they make the car, or maybe some other country. So the price of one Ferrari is like 1 crore rupees. Okay, and due to government taxes, you have to pay 120 lakhs, so 1.2 crore rupees as a tax. So you're basically paying 2.2 crore rupees for that Ferrari. So this is how government controls the cost. Because in India, we already have big manufacturing plants for from Tata, from Mahindra, from Maruti and other companies. Okay, so if the government doesn't impose high taxes on importing the automobile or cars, then they will produce more competition to the automobile industry in India. Okay, and that will affect the job opportunities and basically the development of our economy. So that's why they want to restrict the import of automobiles. Okay, so that's why when you try to import automobiles, they place very high tax. Same thing with alcohol, tobacco, and gold. Okay, like gold jewelry basically, not just gold but gold jewelry. So if you buy gold biscuit, it's not that much taxable. But if you buy ornament, okay, it's like jewelry basically. Ornament is jewelry. So if you buy ornament, they have very high taxes. Okay, for import taxes. And if you have heard about this medicines, we stopped exporting because we needed that during our lockdown period of, due to for to fight the corona or COVID-19. Okay, and we stopped. The government of India stopped exporting it. Okay, it's different story that we started again exporting those. But yeah, so that's also government policy what they wanted to stay in control. Also, if you go to some what is called government hospitals, you will see there are like um, free medicines, okay, free tablets for TB, for HIV, okay, for polio. So you get all those are for free, okay, because government, it's not something like it's government, they buy it from the manufacturer, okay, and in other countries, in outside countries, they are very expensive. But in India, government of India has policy that they want to give these expensive medicines for their people for free. Okay, if you go to US or if you go to what is called UK, okay, you will see they have very high prices for this for these medicines. Okay, they give you free medicines for like what do you call common cold, sardi per se. Okay, sardi per se or common cold. They give you this medicines for the symptoms free of cost. But if you have like TB or polio or Devi, we used to call it Devi, right? And like HIV. Okay, so they have very high prices for the medicines. That's their country's policy. But our country, government of India, has different policy. Okay, you have to pay for the common cold. So we pay for if you have like sardi per se. Okay, so you go to the counter and you pay for the medicine and you take the medicine. But if you are like high or like more severe health condition, then government pays for it. So all different countries have different policies. Okay. Now I'm on next slide, slide number 54. Okay. So utility. Total utility, total amount of satisfaction or pleasure a person gets from consuming a certain amount of goods or services. Reading a book gives pleasure to Ria, which can be quantified as 20 utilities. Reading 3 books give pleasure to Priya as 50 utilities. Okay, so that's total utility. Then marginal utility, the amount of satisfaction or pleasure a person gets from consuming one more unit of the product. Reading the first book give pleasure to Ria, so that's 20 utils. Reading the second book gives pleasure to Priya, 17 utils. And reading the third book gives pleasure to Ria, that's 13 utils. Okay, so marginal utility equals to change of total utility over change in quantity of product consumed. Okay, so basically the product that she consumed, that was 3. Okay, and change of total utility, so that was from 20 to 13. Okay, the next slide, I'm on slide number 55. The law of diminishing marginal utility. The more the product a person consumes, the less desirable the person is for that product. The first plate of rice provides great utility for the eater. The second plate also provides utility for the eater, but less than the previous plate. The third plate provides even less utility than the second plate. Okay, it's something like, if you like a laddu. Okay, the first laddu is better. Second, even good. Okay, third also good, but maybe fourth, no, you stop eating. Okay, because it's too sweet now. Okay, so that's something like that. When marginal utility decreases and still remains positive, the total utility increases. However, when marginal utility decreases below zero level, negative, the total utility starts falling down. The 10th plate of rice will provide negative utility for the eater. So at some point, you're going to basically going to throw. Okay, so you're going to omit basically. So that's negative or zero. Okay, I'm on slide number 56. The law of diminishing marginal utility. Okay, on y-axis you will see units of utility. On x-axis you will see quantity, cases per month. Okay, and then that's the histogram, and for the histogram we have shown a trend line, which is, we call it marginal utility. Okay, again I'm on slide number 57. Law of substitution. Purchasing dozens of banana, if unit price of it seems to be high, then we may think less number of banana or banana of small sizes and less price. Similarly, in reverse, may price of dozen is less, we may think of purchasing another fruit which will match our budget. Thus, we are continuously substituting one commodity with another with money as bridge and aiming at maximum satisfaction. This principle is called as law of substitution. Okay, so I'm going to give an example. So one of my friend, he is selling mangoes. Okay, he is selling mangoes right now. So he has 3 varieties of mangoes. Okay, so one is one box of 12 mangoes. Okay, one box of 12 mangoes. It costs 750 rupees. Then he has second variety where he has 14 mangoes. Okay, 14 mangoes in one box. Again, the price is 750. Then third variety, okay, where he have 16 mangoes. Okay, 16 mangoes in one box, but again the price is same, 750. Okay, so can anyone tell me which box he mostly sell? What is the highest sold box in A, B, C? So first is with 12 mangoes, B is with 14 mangoes, and C is with 16 mangoes. Yeah. So because people think that we are paying 750 rupees, so it's always better to get more quantity. Okay. But they don't understand that because of 16 mangoes, quality or maybe size of the mango is different. Okay. So, but again, their decision is purely based on price. Okay, so what they did 750 divided by 12. Okay, 750 divided by 14 and 750 divided by 16. So how much one mango cost? Okay, so that's how they decide which box they're going to buy. Okay, so that's you have to think. Okay, that's we call it a law of substitution. So it's nothing wrong, it's nothing wrong, because that's the human nature. That's how people actually think. Okay, and that's you should also think when you are when you are become a project manager and we are trying to sell your project. Okay, or you are trying to do something with your project. So you have to think about how your consumer, how your customer, or how your client going to think, because they are also human being. Okay, and these laws are applicable to all human beings. There's nothing wrong with this human being. Even I'm going to tell you one example. This is nothing related to your nothing related to your what is called. Hmm, okay, so let's continue. Law of substitution. Okay, so I'm now on slide number 58. Okay, it says capital. Definition of capital. Capital is lifeline of any project. It can be in form of such as money, land, property. Capital can be defined as a wealth which created over a period of time. So you have to remember what is capital. Most of the people think about capital as a money, but it is not. Yeah, money is also capital, but land and property also plays as a capital. Okay, so capital is the lifeline of any project, and it can be in form of in form as money and land property. Capital can be defined as wealth which created over the period of time. Cost of capital. The loan capital providers like bank, shareholders, etc. want to suitably compensate for investing funds in the project. This expectation is known as cost of capital, and the expression in the terms of X percentage. It is the discount rate used for converting the expected cash flow into its present value. Okay. I know this is a little bit difficult to understand cost of capital, but in next unit number 6, we are going to learn how to basically find out that discount rate, okay, or how to find out the present value. So we are going to solve some problems using some formula. Okay, and I'm going to tell you how to find out the discount rate, how to find out the present value, what is meant by cash flow, and how we are going to find out the cash flow. Okay, and how banks and other shareholders, we call it like equity. Okay, how they invest money in your project, and what is the rate of return, or what is that's payback period. Okay, so we are going to talk about that in detail, and we are going to solve problems on those concepts basically, because those are very important in point of your exam point of view, also real life point of view. Just try to understand what is cost of capital. Okay, from here. Then we can go to next slide, slide number 59. It says need for capital. So capital required for following purposes: to promote a business, to conduct business operations smoothly, to expand the diversity, to meet contingencies, so sudden fall of sale, natural calamities. So contingencies, you have to think about contingencies. Contingencies is something like we always have insurance for. Okay? Then to pay taxes, to pay interest to shareholder, to replace the assets like plants and machinery, to support welfare programs, and to wind up the business. Even if you want to close down your business, okay, you have to, if you want to shut down your business, you have to have some capital. So that's what we call it, to wind up the business. Okay. And last slide, which is slide number 60, types of capital. Okay, this is something you have to understand, which is very, very helpful when we are going to solve problems, and also in your actual real life when you are becoming when you become a project manager. So capital, there are two types of capital, which first one is called fixed capital and it's called working capital. So the fixed capital is a tangible fixed asset intangible fixed asset, and financial fixed asset. Okay, so tangible fixed assets, so something like physical items which we can see, we can touch. Okay, can be seen and can be touched, like land, building, machinery, etc. So intangible fixed asset, there's something which cannot be seen or touched. Okay, so the goodwill, brand name, trademarks, patents or copyrights, or what we are saying, IPR, intellectual property law. Okay, so something like that. And then financial fixed asset, okay, which are like shares, foreign currency deposit, government bonds, shares, or in other companies. Like um, financial fixed asset. So think about Tata Trust. Okay. So do you know who is the owner of Tata Steel or Tata Motors? Do you know who is the owner of Tata Steel and Tata Motors? No, he is not a owner of Tata Steel and Tata Motors. The owner of Tata Steel and Tata Motors is Tata Trust, and Tata Tata Trust, Tata Trust, trust. It is a trust, okay, and that trust has the majority holding of the trust is belongs to the Ratan Tata. So the Tata Trust invests money to different businesses. So if you see the Tata Ratan Tata does not directly owns Tata Steel or Tata Motors. He owns Tata Trust, which is a separate entity. Okay, and the Tata Trust owns Tata Motors and Tata Steel. So that's what we call it, financial fixed assets. Okay, so even if Tata Steel goes bankrupt, it's not going to affect Ratan Tata. Okay, but if something like we call RIL, okay, Reliance Industries Limited, which is owned by Mukesh Ambani. So if it goes bankrupt, so the same thing happened with Anil Ambani. Okay, yeah, the Anil Ambani, his company, the Reliance, what is it called, Reliance Dhirubhai, Anil something, Reliance Anil Ambani or something, Anil Ambani Group something. So his company actually goes bankrupt. So that's why he went bankrupt, because he was directly owning those companies. Okay, so that is different. Yeah, yeah. So that is the basic difference between Tata and Reliance. Because Reliance doesn't have that many companies, but Tata has more than 100 companies. Tata has more than 100 companies, but they all are owned by Tata Trust and Tata Sons. But they are not directly owned by Ratan Tata. There are no company directly owned by Ratan Tata. They are basically owned by Tata Trust and Tata Sons. And Tata Trust and Tata Sons, they are the majority holding of those belongs to Ratan Tata. So if you read about Indira Gandhi, okay, when she nationalized all the banks and companies in India, so that's when it happens about the Tata. They change their policy, okay. So this is something which was not familiar with Indian market. It is something which familiar in US market or Western market. But right now in India also it's getting more and more popular. The financial fixed assets, okay, and the working capital now. About the working capital is basically like day-to-day operation. For day-to-day operation, you have to pay salaries to your people. You have to buy some raw material. Maybe you have to pay to transportation for the marketing or packaging, okay, or maybe some insurances, taxes. So those are all we call it as working capital. Okay, I think that's enough for today.